Welcome to Kranky Live Sports Talk, where passion meets action.
Hey sports fans, I am Kranky, and this is the Kranky Live Sports Talk, the podcast where we dive deep into the hottest topics, the biggest games, and the most controversial moments in sports.
Whether it's football, basketball, track and field, cricket, or soccer, we've got you covered with expert analysis, insider interviews, and unfiltered opinions.
Join me as I chat with the biggest names in sports, get exclusive insights and stories you won't hear anywhere else.
Kranky Live Sports Talk is where you can hear the real talk, the hard-hitting questions, and the hottest takes.
So, if you're a true sports fanatic, you don't want to miss out? Subscribe now to the Kranky Live Sports Talk on YouTube and hit that bell icon to never miss an episode.
Kranky Live Sports Talk, where sports come alive. Subscribe today.
Good evening. What time is it now? 6 o'clock. I'm a little bit late. 6:02. About a minute and something to play the video. So I'm on time. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Welcome back to that Kranky Live podcast, where we bring you, on this channel anyway, a lot of sports. I have not spent any time on my Balanced View channel in about a month and a half. I'm going to be revisiting that as soon as possible. Good evening, Odell. Odell said, "Me nah hit no like, so no bother ask." I joke, Harry Press. Well, the poll is there in the Odell, so I'm not supposed to ask anymore, right? I'm not supposed to ask anymore because the poll is there for the prompt in the videos that they come in the chat. They hit the like button. We have a lot of different things to talk about. It's the week sports roundup, and given how much passionate football fans on this channel, I'm gonna save the Reggae Boyz for last. Since I know what a lot of times that's where most of the interest is. I'm gonna talk some women's football a little bit. I'm gonna talk some track and field. I'm gonna talk a little bit of Club World Cup. But I'm gonna start with West Indies cricket first, and I'm starting with the ones that are gonna take like a minute or two to go through because it's really embarrassing actually. I was listening to JD's channel today, and people were not happy. Some people were not happy with the performance of the girls against England. I predicted we get 6, we got 7, right? And someone said we should go back and play cricket. And I was laughing, thinking, you mean go back to the 80s or 70s? It ain't now. Because we played Australia, bowled them off for just over 100 in the first inning, and then still lose by 159 runs after being all out for 141 in the second inning, which is really poor, actually. So I do think cricket actually is lucrative nowadays in the short form. If you can imagine, before, cricket used to be, good evening, Ted Dexter, cricket used to be a sport where West Indies dominated. Athleticism was paramount. You had raw talent. That talent manifests itself on the field. And you go back from the George Headley days to the Sobers days to the Rowe and the Lloyd and the Richards and Holding and all those individuals, West Indies was a dominant nation and was revered across at least the English-speaking world. The cricket was prominent. But that has changed materially over time. And now we're just also a run team. We're struggling to beat teams like Ireland, for Christ's sake. Afghanistan, teams that were in cricket at that time. But it also points to something which is important, which is two things. One is, and we're seeing that more and more, one is lack of leadership, or competent leadership, and two is lack of resources. All right, because even if you have the best leadership and you don't have the funds to fund what you're doing, you may do well, but it's only going to last for a while. Even if you have a good product, like players, if you don't have good leadership, you're going to struggle. So the leadership and the resources in cricket also manifests itself in other sports, except for something like track and field, which is probably more of an individual sport and probably need less equipment, actually. But Jamaica is also being able to reinvest in track and field in the individual clubs actually, that then have athletes who used to use the US as the bench, as the basis for them to do well. That's changed somewhat now, and people can stay home and still do well. Good evening, Energy. Canada holding on for their lives. Yes, they are. They went out to 10 men, and that yellow card, that second yellow card, was unfortunate, but you have to know where you are in the football field. Bless up, Sanjay. Yes, Ted Dexter, investment is important. You have to know where you are in the football field, and if you out there and you're on a yellow card, you have to tread lightly, and that player is a very forceful player who runs really hard, and he didn't tread lightly, so yeah. And here's what's interesting about we'll get to the Gold Cup. I'm not going to talk about the Gold Cup now. I'm going to talk about the Gold Cup after. So I'm done with cricket. I'm going to go to the women's team. So I'm jumping around a little bit, actually. I'm going to do cricket. I'm going to do the women's team first. Then I'm going to do athletics. Then I do Gold Cup and Reggae Boyz. I watched the women's team play today. I was encouraged, actually. Now, you may say, Kranky, you're glutton for punishment. What the hell are you talking about? Well, they brought in, Busby has brought in a lot of young players. The Van Santen sisters, and a number of other younger players are in the team. The goalkeeper, Leah Brooks, so if she wasn't keeping, they probably got 10 or 12 because it wasn't pretty. But I'm encouraged by when I see young players coming and they're a little bit not frightened of the occasion. England is a very good team, right? England is one of the best teams in the world. And yeah, we got 7. But you had the 2, Spencer and Spence weren't there. You had Bunny Shaw not there. There were a number of senior players not there. You have the player from, I don't know why her name is eluding me now, from Liverpool. She's going to Arsenal, who's having problem getting her naturalization done, but she wasn't there. So we probably had about 5 senior players who were starters weren't there. And that's important. You take 5 players out of any team who are the 5 best players, you're going to struggle. And it's and he's also trying to blend in young players. So it is important that people don't lose hope and that they realize that the team is going through an evolution, I should say, versus revolution. It's evolving because some of the players like the Swaby sisters are getting old or older, and you have to bring in youngsters to fill those gaps. And those youngsters, to me, were okay, right? They were okay. But I think the recruiting has to continue because there are a lot of players out there of Jamaican heritage. But this is going to be a diaspora team, let's be honest. In Jamaica, the investment in the women's football is minuscule, and it's not going well. And so therefore, it has to be that the focus is on recruiting diaspora players. Unlike the men's team where people want to push back on that. Here, it's not even a question. Eddie Gunnar said, we had the worst preparation for the World Cup ever. I don't see any positive from losing 7. It's not the losing, Eddie Gunnar. It is the team and how some of the players play, how the youngsters look. So with every situation, you can get positive, right? I gave you some positive the other day that we're losing sponsors for the Reggae Boyz, and I gave you should always look for the light at the end of the tunnel. I gave you a reason to, in fact, I'd be happy if those sponsors all run away from the JFF right now because they didn't do a good job of setting up those contracts to allow them to benefit if we qualify for the World Cup. So hopefully, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, we'll qualify and the sponsor will come back at a much higher rate. Yeah, but the girls, it didn't look. But at least Busby could travel. That's a good thing. Busby could travel to the game. He couldn't go to the U.S. game, and that hasn't been explained to us. But he could travel for the game. But also, there's questions had to be asked about the team, how we play, because we were trying to play low block today, and it wasn't working. Right? If you're playing low block in football, which we did at the World Cup at Donaldson, but again, I shouldn't do the comparison because we had a much better team, a much more seasoned team, and a much more mature team, and a team that's well coached. So we shouldn't lose hope about the 7-0, but it is what it is. We have lost 4-0, 4-0, 7-0. One could say we're getting worse. They had to fly all the way to England, which is 9 hours from Jamaica, 8 hours from the US. So it's a long flight. Blessing Drew Ross. Hey, Drew Ross, you did that thing for me? Jaros, let me know if you did that thing for me. So now we'll go to the Club World Cup, which has been interesting. I've said this before. If you live anywhere in the US, I was going to say New York, anywhere in the US, the weather has been awful, hot as heck. You know what? And when yesterday we were playing game in Texas, I laughed because I was in Texas for a conference. It's got to be 13 years ago. I was in Dallas this time of the year. I stepped outside. It's like somebody punched me in the face. It was that bad. It was thick. It was hot. It's not even, to me, it wasn't even livable, much less to be out there running around. So I'm a little bit surprised that they played in that weather and put the games off to like real late, some of those games. But it's an interesting time for the assessment to be done as to what's going to happen next year World Cup. There's been a lot of concerns expressed, especially say example by the Chelsea coach. He's not having it, even though he's trying to take back some of his words, but he's not having it in terms of the weather and games have to be stopped, whether it's thunderstorm or lightning or stop for a water break, whatever it is. It's difficult in weather like this to play football. So I'm sure when we played Panama the other day, it was probably a struggle for some of the diaspora players, especially from England. We're not used to this kind of weather. But the World Cup, we're going through climate change. It won't be better next year. So we'll see what happens. Maybe the teams from the countries more closer to the equator or ones in South America and Africa and the Caribbean, this part of the world may do better. And European teams may be stressed with the weather because they're not used to these kind of weather actually. Somebody said he went to see the PSG that Miami got schooled. It was like football clinic. Yeah, I watched part of that game. I was watching the Reggae Girlz and PSG simultaneously. Well, I was flipping between the two. I wasn't watching them simultaneously. I was flipping between the two, and two embarrassing games. Two very embarrassing games, actually, if you think about it, whereby PSG schooled into Miami they actually scored 4 in the first half and sort of took the second half off and decided not to and bring out the mercy rule. One goal I see Busquets gave away, which is, you can tell he's old. Busquets never loses those balls in that situation. And then obviously watch a women's game. I know Chelsea also had won their game previously. What was it, yesterday by 4-1? After the game being almost tied, I think, close to regulation. And they're complaining a lot, but they're going to get money out of the game, so money out of the tournament. So I mentioned this the other day, which is there's a lot of money being dished out. Dan's paid a lot of money. I'm not sure if they make the money back for this tournament, that the streaming service. There's a lot of money being dished out, and the Caribbean is getting none of it. That's why the Caribbean can't improve enough people. Because even team from New Zealand, bunch of accountants and probably engineers and plumbers get $4 million for their club, and no Caribbean team got a dime from this tournament because none of them made it where they are recognized or do well in CONCACAF enough. And the Caribbean needs to figure something out. Maybe they should have an all-star team or a couple of all-star teams. I think can go play against MLS teams in the CONCACAF region, because what they're doing now is not working. Cavaliers has played Cincinnati and Miami in 2 successive years, and I hear how great Speed has done, and it's wonderful, and everybody praised him, and he's made some money from the Messi deal. He hasn't scored a goal in any of those 2 games. He's lost 10-0. I don't know how you praise. Somebody just give me a hard time about Eddie Guna says how you can get anything good out of losing 7-0. Well, how do you get anything good out of losing 10-0? I heard Rudolph says his team wasn't afraid. And I'm saying, why are they going to be afraid? They're going to get their ass busted anyway. Why are they going to be afraid of what? You don't get your ass busted. You just got to take your licks. They ain't look like they can win any game. They look like they can score a goal. So I don't know what that entails in terms of you make it through the Caribbean, which I say is not Jamaica's competition anymore, and you're still losing. It's not a good look. Not a good look at all. And I think the Caribbean has to do something. If you look in the Club World Cup, South American teams have done well. I'm sure the weather is a factor. The South American teams have done well. Obviously, the European teams are going to do well. They're the better teams. But, the Argentinians and the Brazilian teams have done well. and they're getting paid. I was checking some numbers. Some of the Brazilian teams are getting over 20 million for this tournament by reaching the second round. So a lot of money being dished out and nothing going to the Caribbean, which is sad, actually. Conrad said, at least we can find some good out of Kranky. Jamaica versus England. Yeah. I'm not sure I understand that, Conrad. When you say Jamaica versus England, in terms of what? In terms of what? Let me know exactly what you're talking about. Now, I'm going to track and field because I'm a big track and field fan. And then I'll come back to the Reggae Boyz. It's been an interesting track and field trials. I was watching the men's 100 and the women's 100. And I'll go to women's first, whereby everyone is happy that Shelly made it to the World Championship. But I don't think if Tia didn't get hurt, Shelly wouldn't be going as a to the championship in a normal fashion. She'd be going as a relay alternate or for the relay team. But I didn't see her beating Tia. Because you watch the race, Tina got a fabulous start. Obviously, we know Sharika's going to come on late. But Tia looked like she was in a good position to try to track down Tina before she pulled up. And it was interesting watching that race and the response from the crowd for Shelly, which she deserved, going to her 9th World Championship. But I don't see any way, shape, or form Tia was going to run on the, say, 10-9, Frank. Run over 10-9, not run on a 10-9, like a 10-8-8 or somewhere around there, until they run 10-9 plus. So I think obviously Tia battling Sharika versus Shelly being able to finish 3rd like she did. But, you know, that's how the cards dealt. Sorry for Tia. She's having a good year. Tina's come back after struggling for a little while. I'm not sure what that entailed, actually, because Tina was the dominant one at one point. Tia looked like the more shy of the two, was the dominant one, and all of a sudden, Tina's recovered, and now Tia is out of it, pulling up. So, bless up, Romaine. It is very difficult for Tia because the first thing you see in their twins, Tina did was ran over to her to try to console her, but then basking in the glory of knowing that she made the World Championship. And so she's in a very good spot, actually. Now, how's the game going? Because I'm not watching the game. How is the game? Are they in penalty shootout? Can I go and drop out? Yeah, that's what happens when you get a red card. So I wonder if the advertisers love this because it's going to be it's going to be an easy US-Mexico final. Easy. I don't see either Guatemala or Honduras beating Mexico or US. So it's the same old, same old. We can't even get something different. Same old, same old. Same old, same old. US-Mexico again. Right? It's US-Mexico again. So Mexico will end up playing Guatemala and US play Honduras. But we also should be ashamed as Jamaica. Think about it. Right? Yeah. Think about it, people. Guatemala and Honduras, 2 of our beaten stick, are now in the semifinal. And we're home, losing a lot of money. And we'll talk about the Reggae Boyz quite a bit before I leave the track and field. But that's an interesting one, seeing Canada losing. I wonder if Jesse Martin made the right decision not going more defensive earlier. He put on the kid from Bournemouth, probably should have gone more defensive and play counter-attacking football versus still trying to win the game. But in the women's 100, obviously, the finish I thought was going to be Tina or Tia and then Sharika. Obviously, Shelly made it, which is good for her. And then in the men's 100, and Sharika to me is not back to where she was, right? She hasn't run. She's running a lot of 10-9, 10-8, 11 something. I don't know what's happening with her because obviously she has the stamina. She may have to try to get better start. You know, pick the gun, but she gets to try to get better starts because it's going to be tough for her with Julia, with Alfred and all of those individuals if she's not at her peak come the World Championship. And then for the men, it was a weird 100 meters final. Didn't you guys find out weird what happened to Seville? First of all, I'm shocked Levine ran out. I thought it'd be a 1-2-3, Kishane, Oblique, and Levine. I don't know what happened there. Obviously, we know Blake is very good. But I watched Seville in the semis, and I don't know what happened. I don't know if he was feeling something, because he had his hands out at about 30 meters out. So I don't have no idea what's happening. I don't think he tricked anybody, actually. He looked like he was in distress. I don't think he tricked anybody. Because you guys don't realize, Seville always get a good start. He got a bad start in that race. He just decided to run afterwards. I don't think he was tricking anybody. Something is not amiss. And it's kind of sad that that's not being explained, because I thought he felt something in the 100-meter semis, even though he ran, 9.8 something. Almost like he held his hand out and said, what the hell is happening? But he ran through and he took his foot off the tape. I took off the speed dial when he got through. And then in the final, it seemed like he was in distress, because he seemed like he was very frustrated about what was happening to him. Maybe he was feeling some kind of cramp or something and was concerned about going to a run. And even the commentators were clearly saying he should not run if he's feeling something. And he went and ran and did his thing. Someone said final cramps. No, Sevilla's had enough big race people. I hear people saying maybe he was nervous or he's having a meltdown. Come on. You're running all these big races all your career. You know you're the second best run on the island. You ain't stressing. You know you can even get a bad start and still come through. I don't think you're stressing. I think something was wrong, but we haven't heard anything. I haven't heard anything anyway. But does it remind me of Asafa? No, Sevilla is not Asafa. First of all, Sevilla has not been a world record holder like Asafa was. Sevilla has not run on these 90-something times under 10 seconds. Sevilla's always been, even though he beat Nawa in Jamaica and lost in the World Championship, he's not been that name to say, you know what? He's a favorite and he got his butt kicked. So I don't agree with that comparison. But he looked distressed for that race. I thought Blake looked really well in that race, actually. But Kishane is just a different beast, right? Kishane is built like, I don't know, he's just a big human being, a strong human being, a quick human being. But let's see if Kishane is Asafa versus you guys beating Seville as Asafa. Let's see if it's Kishane is not Asafa, because he should have won the Olympic gold. He's the one who fluttered at the end. Remember when Gatlin ran against Bolt and should have won the race and lost his form at the end? He lost his form. So pressure does that, you know. In Jamaica, I don't think Kishane feel any problem. You know he's better than the field. When he goes on the world stage, a little bit different. Sembini's running well. There's a bunch of people running well. So said Marsh should go. Why is Marsh going? Marsh had nothing to do with getting a red card. Marsh shouldn't go. Why would Marsh go? Canada's done well. Canada did well in the Copa. Canada would have probably won this game without that red card. Canada beat Honduras 6 in this tournament. Where is Marsh gonna go? We're retaining a coach who didn't win a damn game in the tournament. Should have lost all 3 games. Now it's been awful. Struggling to be. And we talking about Marsh should go when we retain our coach? Come on. That's a ridiculous comment. Canada love Marsh. He's not going anywhere. That red card killed them because playing with 10 men against a ball position team is difficult. It's difficult. We're going to touch upon our transfers, because I said I was going to do some transfer in EPL, and then we'll touch upon Reggae Boyz. So it's been an interesting transfer market. Liverpool jump out the gate, and they have signed 4 players: Wirtz, Kirkes, Frimpong, and Mamadashvili. Worth over 100 million pounds. So Liverpool kept their powder dry last year. They didn't spend they didn't spend little or nothing in transfer market. They won the league and then they got better. Doesn't bode well for anybody else. That's what Man City used to be. Right? That's how Man City used to be. And Liverpool look like they want to stay on that perch for a while. They're gonna be hard to beat next year. Now they're looking to sell Nunes, but here's what Liverpool has that Arsenal doesn't have and some of the teams doesn't have. They can sell Nunes and they may sell Diaz, and they'll probably get 150, between 120 and 150 million pounds for them. It's up to replenish the 197 they spent already. Arsenal and Man U don't have those assets to sell. I know people are looking at Garnacho for Man U and for Arsenal looking at Martinelli, but they don't have the assets to sell. So Liverpool has brought in 4, and it's youngsters too. It's not they're going to be there for a while. Frimpong is young, Wirtz is young, Kirkus is young. So they've bought a lot of youngsters for decent money, but they're very good players. If you look at City, they bought Nori from Wolves, which I find interesting. He's a good player, but I don't know where he fits on any team. I don't see him as a defender. I don't see him as a midfielder. He's a very skillful player and a good player, but I don't know where he sits. He plays it out in the back defense for Wolves. I don't know his fit. They brought Ryan Cherky, who's a very good player. The kid from Milan, what's his name? Regenders, whatever his name is. He's a good player. And Bettinelli is a goalkeeper they brought in. So they spent well in January, and they spent well again. And they've got rid of, obviously, De Bruyne, who shows you that football players should focus on themselves and not the collective, because he wanted to stay at City and they said, you got to leave. I don't hear fans being in uproar when he left, right? I don't hear fans complaining. I don't hear fans cursing City and say, oh, we're going to treat De Bruyne that way. I don't hear that. I hear that about Trent going to Real Madrid. Fans are some of the most ungrateful people on God's earth. If I'm a player, I don't give a damn what the fans think. I don't care what fans think. I'm going to do my thing. Whether it's national or club, I don't care what the fans think. I'm sorry. Fans don't care about players. Fans just want to satisfy their own desires in terms of outcome and winning. Because I don't hear nobody protesting when, Partey's leaving. We're like, oh, we have Zubimendi. No, replace him. I'm a big Partey fan. I'm very upset he's leaving. But I don't hear anybody killing the Krankies and all that. So it's interesting. Man U will be better next year. They were awful last year. Then Spurs. They bought Cunha, and Mbeumo is another player that they're pursuing. That's a very lethal, we can call it a 10 and a winger. So they'll be much better, and they're going to get rid of a number of players. So they have spent what? 62. Man City spent 112 mil, Liverpool 197. Man U spent about 62 for Cunha. They're going to spend another 60 for Mbeumo, which can take them to 120. I thought Man U had no money. Didn't we hear that Man U have no money and they're struggling to do XYZ and they have to fire all this staff because they had no money? And they're just saying Dean Fraser, ball, sound run have nothing to do with Guatemala winning, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I just say fans are mourning sometimes. Liverpool fans disappointed me by booing Trent. He's a Liverpool legend. Yeah, well, I don't know if he's a legend, but he's a very good player who should be recognized and be appreciated versus being booed. But I don't hear nobody booing anybody when De Bruyne have to leave or when they sell players that you don't want. So why should players give a damn about what fans think? Or about they should just play their best, make money for themselves and their family, and do the job for the club that they're getting paid for. It's a business, right? It's a business. German says, Kranky, I heard you come in and mention that Sean Goter is going to be the assistant manager for Jamaica for the ITV today while the girls play and McClaren in the stands. That's not the name I heard, actually, but I won't say who I heard or who I thought was being pursued. He's a well-known player. He's a good Premier League player. Don't know about his managerial capabilities. And that's interesting. So what happens to the current 2 assistants in Trevor Sinclair and in the great Meron Gordon? What happened to them? What happened to those 2 assistants? Are they still going to be there? Come on, people. As you come into the chat, you saw the poll. It asks you to do something. Please do so. It's Sunday, people. It's Sunday. Hit the like button. Be generous on a Sunday. Be godly. By the way, people, I'm going to be doing some shows on my Balance View channel. I hope I don't get canceled by YouTube, because I'm going to be doing some reaction videos to some things. I was watching a video today by Joy Reid with the Ted Cruz interview with what's his name from Fox. I thought it was an interesting interview. I have to react to it. So I'm gonna do some reaction videos. So I want you guys to go over to, by the way, go to Balance View channel. I have about 297 subscribers. I put it on hold and subscribe, people. Subscribe to the channel. Can be good stuff. I'm gonna talk about Jamaica stuff too. Chelsea bought what? Gittins, and they bought Pedro today. Says 120 million. Where did Chelsea get all this money from, people? And they don't even buy any exceptional players. They buy very good young players and give them 7-year contract. Now, I don't look. Bowley's a hedge fund guy, and I respect hedge fund individuals. They're the ones who make real money, people. Don't look at all those people out you saw in the environment talking about they have money. People run hedge funds, make real money. And they're very smart guys. They buy companies, especially private companies. They re-engineer those companies, sell them off, have an exit strategy of, keep them for like 4, 5, 6 years and then sell them off and make a ton of return. Right? But I don't know what the strategy is here. They buy young players, but they're not. Y'all Pedro is a good player. Gittins a good player from Dortmund, but y'all Pedro's from Brighton. But I don't see where they're exceptional players where it's gonna get Chelsea over the top. Or they bought Nkunku. They have so much players, don't even know what to do with them. Where are all these players gonna play? Nkunku is probably gonna go. But they have Neto, they have Madueke. They have so many players. It's crazy. And they keep buying more. Bowley's obsessed with youth and getting his long-term contract. And they made the Champions League, so yeah. I don't know Sean Goater's history, actually. But he was a good player. Good forward. I don't know his managerial career either. So if they bring him in, are they getting rid of their twos? And we talk about the Reggae Boyz. I won't spend a lot of time on that now. Let me go to my transfer number quickly. Arsenal has spent about 70 million so far. 50 million, 55 for Zubimendi, about 10 for Norgard, and about 5 for Kepa. Imagine Kepa cost Chelsea 70 million. Chelsea just prints money, Wasn't that 4 or 5 years ago he cost them 70 million? And now they sold him for like 5 million. It's not a loss of 65 million. You have to take out the depreciation each year. So I don't know what it was on the books for, but it's interesting. Tottenham haven't done much. They've decided to convert the loans for Tell and Danzo. They buy this kid from Japan, the center half, who's 20 for 5 million. They bought Vuskovic, so they have about 4. They're trying to get, and both Tottenham and also trying to get Eze, right? I'm a big Eze fan, people. And we're trying to get Mosquera too from La Liga. But I would love to get Eze. And if we get Eze, we need a left winger, and Martinelli is not the answer. We can do like what Aston Villa does. Don't play with a true left winger. Playing like a hybrid, like play 2 10s. Like Aston Villa does with Ramsey and what's his name? They play 2 10s, not a true wing out left. When they got rid of Diaby and they benched Bailey, they just play with 2 inverted 10s versus playing with true wingers, actually. So I would love to get Eze. And he was an Arsenal fan, and he was at Arsenal before we let him go. So hopefully that works out. Nothing else to talk about in transfer. Nothing exceptional out there. Newcastle gets some free people. They were looking at Pedro, but didn't get him. And then Villa let go a couple of people back on loan. Rashford, Asensio, they go back to their parent club, which is Man U and PSG. Someone texted me and said Tapa was good for Jamaica. Yeah, I mean, he did well in the Gold Cup. I think Tapa will go down as a better manager than it appears when as time progressed and we look at the record and we look at the tournaments that he was in, he probably end up being a better manager. But his World Cup exploits were not good. Right? They weren't good at all. But his numbers aren't bad, but his World Cup exploits weren't good. So let's go to, so that's EPL transfer. Let's go to Reggae Boyz football. Now, we went from the 3-0 victory at Guatemala, and I was in Jamaica, and I was really pleased about how well we played. Actually, at that time, I didn't know Guatemala didn't play like 7, 8 of their players or 9 of their players. I didn't know that actually. That wasn't even brought up in discussion with anybody. I think that was probably mentioned after the game. I didn't know about that. But regardless, I thought we played well. But I know that they weren't as physical and running as hard as I would have expected. But we looked good. And it was very disappointing subsequent to when we went to the Gold Cup. Because after the BVI game, it was shocking that we did so well against Guatemala, given that we barely beat BVI, scored a header for Christ's sake. The more I think about these people, the more I'm trying to figure out how we retain this coach. Seriously. I mean, we're struggling against BVI. BVI sound like a aircraft company. Sound like an airline versus a country. Not to denigrate the ability of BVI, but they're not a footballing nation. So how the hell we struggle with them is beyond me. Low move. So Kranky, one move that would be significant in turning around the current situation with Jamaican football is to list the JFF on the stock exchange value and sell about 35% of shares publicly. I don't know if any. I don't think you can list the national football team on stock exchange. I don't think any FIFA national association is on an exchange. I don't think that would work actually. Yeah, they're not. They probably have a sort of pseudo non-for-profit in a sense. So I don't think that would work. They're not a for-profit organization, so that wouldn't work. Man, you can't list. I mean, they're not a government entity. Instead of a quasi, I don't even know what the hell they are actually. You talk to people like Speed, they tell you that they're not public company, but they're not private company. But no, that wouldn't work. But it's not bad to think about way of generating capital for the organization, because them getting knocked out early in Copa was devastating financially. Dean friends, we're not a footballing nation either. Well, we may not be a footballing nation, but we can call upon footballers or Jamaicans descendants. Did you watch the England under-21 versus Germany? I thought it was a good game. What was ironic from that game was we have 2 nationalized Jamaicans who scored in that game. You guys realize that? That the 2 Jamaicans on the field scored in that game. The 2 Jamaicans who have Jamaican papers and citizenship and play for England on 21, they scored in that game. So Jamaica was well represented in that game. And both of them, Hutchinson to me is one of the stars of that team, actually. He's one of the stars of the team. He played the entire game and then was taken out because I guess he was tired, but he scored a good goal. He played really well. He was dangerous the entire game. And Jonathan Rowe came in and scored. And then there's another kid that came on who have Jamaican parentage. Someone mentioned to me that we should be pursuing. He was playing the CDM role. I think he's more of a defender, but he was playing the CDM role in that game. Can't recall his name. So there were like 3 of Jamaican descent on there. 2 had their citizenship. And 2 won't be playing for Jamaica anytime soon because either they are not being pursued, they were dissed. Oh, by the way, both of them were dissed, actually. It's my understanding that Hutchinson, well, it's not my understanding, we all know. Not my understanding, it's general knowledge that Hutchinson was booed in Jamaica and talked to like piece of trash. And then Jonathan Rowe is my understanding. And someone in England texted me about that a while back, that he tried to come to Jamaica 2 years ago for the junior team and we rejected him. So when he got his papers, it wasn't for Jamaica, it was to move around in Europe, actually. He didn't get his passport and citizenship for Jamaica, got it for other means. So we sort of we sometimes do things which boggles the mind and makes no sense. Players like that who are young, who have talent, who have gotten to the England on 21 team, which has won the Euro twice. They're back-to-back champions in 2023 and 2025 over 2 years. and they could play for us, and we haven't done a good job of trying to source them and have them play for us because of the federation and how they operate. They want to put, fill the team with players who, even though it's not their fault, don't have the level of competence and ability to play at a certain level. And they fill them up in the team, and then all of a sudden, yeah. I didn't know Norman Cuffy had Jamaican heritage, actually. Norman Cuffy was at Arsenal for a long time. I think we sold him for about 3.5. He looks good, people. He looks like he could be a really good wing back to me. Physical, strong, can go by people, defends hard. He'd be a good addition in a team, but we're going to have a lot of right and left back, so I know it's going to work. But he's somebody we should be pursuing, seriously. So that would be four kids of Jamaican descent, 2 of citizenship, and 2 we should consider pursuing who are young and could add value, right? And it's very important for us to think about the next generation because the Pinnocks, the Lows, the Blakes, the Antonios, the Haydens, they're not getting any younger. When you hit 30 in football, you're on the other side of the journey. So we should be pursuing those players. Kranky gone back to looking 21. I look that old? I'm doing something wrong then with this beard. I have to change it up. I thought I was going to be like 18, 19, teenager. Owen, you sure you don't have your glasses on, Owen? You need your glasses on, and I should be looking younger than that. Black Star says, we are running down washed up players, good players with kill speed, selling plans. Yeah, washed up players all make it. I'm not okay. Black Stars, let's reposition that comment. Let's not call him washed up players. Let's just say we're not pursuing some younger players who have potential to do really, really well. I don't want to call any players rejects or washed up or horrible. I want to say they may not have the capability to play at a certain level, right? We want to use some euphemism here, meaning more mild language, not the harsh language we use for. I don't want to beat players. I don't mind beating the organization because they just have been failure after failure after failure. But when it comes to players, I want to be very careful with players, and not because I don't think players should be criticized. They should be criticized when they don't play well, but because they're professionals and they can only be as good as the ability allowed them to be. They're not bad because they want to be bad, right? They're not bad because they want to be bad. They may not be good enough, but they cannot be good enough, right? Only so many players can play in a EPL or play in a championship or play in the MLS, right? I played a lot of football in my time. I wasn't close to being in any of those leagues. So I'm very conscious about how we talk about those players. And a lot of people in the chat here have played football. Owen has played a lot of football. So we should criticize players, but when we say players no good, they're my idiot and then wash up on them this. I don't want to say that. I want to say, you know what? They're not at a level required to play in certain environment where we need certain skill sets, we need certain abilities, we need differentiators. We need to get better players. That's not a bad thing to say. But if you say them a reject and they're not good and not, I mean, they're good to be professionals. They're playing somewhere. Owen says stop playing just from youth days. Okay, Owen. So that may even be better, Owen, making my point better. Because I played way past youth days. No, I was nowhere close to that good. But I played with some people who are good footballers, though. I played with, who was on my team? I played with Freddie Butler, who coached the under-17 team. Freddie was a brilliant player. I played with another kid. You have somebody talk about magic on this channel. Yeah, number of players were very good players. But I wouldn't say I was a good player. I just get into the team because they want somebody in the team to take up space, so they put me in the team. So, but no, I played a lot. I have my injuries such that I played. Let's not say I was a good player, but I have a lot of injuries. I have like 4 knee surgeries, broken hand, broken finger, all sort of stuff. But no, I wouldn't say I was a good footballer. Yeah, Chris Simmons, I did see the game. I just talked about that, Chris Simmons. You just came in. I talked about him and Jonathan Rowe being of Jamaica, both having their citizenship, frankly, and both now playing for England. And that there's a couple more players in that team who have Jamaican heritage who should also be considered, actually, going forward. So, yeah. No, he looked good. Hutchinson has improved quite a bit, actually, because when he was at Arsenal, I think he wasn't as good as he think he was, right? There's nothing like playing time. Yeah, I played with Diego also, yeah. But Diego was on the last part of his career when I played with him, actually. But Diego was a brilliant player. And Diego used to teach us when you play forward, you put your finger in his defense eye. Man got all them tricks playing center forward. You would think he's a defender, the way he treated defenders. But yeah, Diego was on our team too. But so back to what Chris was saying about Hutchinson. No, he looks really, really good, actually. But would he get into this team? Because then he had to contend with Bailey and Gray and now Greenwood coming in. It'd be challenging. It'd be challenging for him to get into the team. When this team is done, people, if all these players come in, I must put the list up I had again, and I need me some players off the list. It won't be an easy team to get into. I know we didn't do well in the Gold Cup. We are concerned about where we go from here. If all the players come in, it'll be interesting. Yeah, he can play the 10, but I do think we gotta be careful with the 10. I don't think we should use a 10, frankly. The way our midfield is. Our midfield is light. I think we should play 3 across with a false 10 was a traditional 10. It's like how Man City play with De Bruyne, where both he and Silva play almost like box to box, so we should play. A traditional 10 for us, when Gray played, for example, Gray don't run back, so then your midfield is wide open. You only have 2 people in the midfield. And then I hear a lot of people talking about Gray. To me, Russell. To me, Russell defensively has a lot to do. He was missing to me. Maybe it was the weather, but he was missing defensively quite a bit. And that's why we struggled, because obviously we didn't have a 6. Now we had a 6. We had Lowe as a 6. So Lowe was our 6. Then we have Blatty, but they're not the ideal 6 at all. Chris says, Kranky, how just get in Jamaica team? If Aston Villa want him, then should know levels. Yeah, but if he comes, is he the left winger? Is he playing over Bailey and Gray? Because the right side is already locked. If Greenwood playing the right wing. That's a no-brainer. Hutchinson doesn't play. So he only has 2 spots. Left wing, where he plays for the under-21, or he plays in the 10. But he's played well. He played well this last Premier League season. And Villa does a good job of buying, like how they did with Marcus Rogers. They paid for him $50 million for Middlesbrough. And now he's worth about 70, 80 mil. So they do a good job of scouting championship. Not a lot of top 6 teams look at championship players with any real insight and try to go outside of England or people with names. So Villa does a better job of that. Langer says, Kranky's needed to strengthen the team. We do not have enough depth in it. No. And I'm not saying that he doesn't, but if I know how Hutchinson operates, since he was at Arsenal, if Hutchinson's not playing, I don't think he's a good person to be around, to be honest. It just seemed like he has to be on the field, as he's not going to be happy. That's what I'm gathering. Because I know when he was at Arsenal, Arteta wasn't playing youngsters, so he left him went to Chelsea. Then he left Chelsea, obviously, when he went on loan and did well. But I think it's going to be difficult for him. Well, I don't know how this coach picked his team anyway. Maybe Busy would play over him. Who knows? Maybe Busy Atkins would play over him. Because Busy has a similar build. So who knows how the coach would make a decision, given how he has operated so far. But Hutchinson is not sitting on anybody's bench. I'm telling you that right now. He ain't sitting on anybody's bench. Given how he has managed his career and his family managing career, he ain't sitting on anybody's bench. I don't think that would work. Well, you want that mentality up to a certain point. When it becomes divisive and when it becomes a situation when it becomes unmanageable, then it becomes a problem. I don't disagree that players should want to play, but it may be difficult if they're disruptive when they're not playing. I'm not saying he's disruptive when he's not playing. I'm just saying, if I look at his career path, trajectory, he wants to play. That's why he left Chelsea. He has to play. And you know what? That's what all players probably should be like that, because you ain't making no money sitting on the bench in terms of you being a young player trying to show what you're worth. He's made about what? He got sold and he's going to get sold again. And every time you get sold, you should be making some money on the side. Your agent should be making some money and you should be pocket some money. That's why Partey is no longer at Arsenal. I'm sure Partey thinks, I'm a free agent. I got to get a sign-on fee. Arsenal didn't want to give him a raise, much like a sign-on fee. So, players do want to make sure, and I've said this, players have to manage their careers. I don't care what fans want to say, do what's best for you, and Hutchinson's done that really well. He was at Arsenal, he's still probably been the under-21s, frankly. And look how well he's doing now. And he may not have gone to the England team being on the under-21s, because most of the under-21 players are playing in senior teams. Martin Coffey went to Syria. Hutchinson and Rowe are at Marseille. And the other kid that came on, I can't remember his name, he's also going to Marseille. So it'll be 3 of them at Marseille, but 4 with Greenwood, who are English. So a lot of those players, McAtee, all of them, they play. Anderson went from Newcastle to Nottingham Forest. They all play like Premier League type football, most of them. So that's how you get recognized. Emery says, if the way how he's performing and picking his team, which should be in an agreement to keep him, if it must be disbanded. So Emery, did you say keep the coach or fire the coach? No, I'm not saying that DJ at all, but I'm saying you gotta have team harmony, so you gotta be very careful with those type of players. I'm not saying any player should be comfortable sitting on the bench. I wasn't. I was a very disruptive person. I should talk about my background. I was playing amateur football. I was disruptive. I'm gonna give you guys an example. I was playing in a league once. I was the starter of the previous season, all season. The new season come with a new coach. I went to a game. I think I still this report. I went to a game at a tournament, not a tournament. Went to the start of a league. He picked his team and said, I'm on the bench. I used to play for another team, a Grenadian team. So this was a Jamaican team. And they were like, they would say, Kranky, you on the bench? And I was like, and they're like, why you come play for us? And I changed that same day. I went to play for them. I was a guaranteed starter. And my team that I played for all season before was benching me. I was like, you're out of your mind. I ain't sitting on nobody's bench. So I understand that, right? And even Freddie Butler, Freddie talking about, I won't call out Freddie, but Freddie talking about the kids nowadays and how disruptive they can be. I've been around certain players who are no more seasoned, and I realize what that is. And we have all, grown up. But when you're a younger player, you're much more impressionable, and you're not going to do things the right way. So, yeah. I'm not saying he shouldn't manage his career and do what he should do. I'm just saying I understand how that can be disruptive for a team, because I used to be in that seat. And I'm playing amateur football. Amen said, the first option, he should be fired. They're keeping him in. There should be serious changes with his staff. So it's my understanding. Someone mentioned here that they heard that the commentator says Sean Goder is going to be his assistant. I haven't heard any of that, so maybe I'm not in the loop. I'm aware that they're looking for an assistant for him. You hear Speed says they would have gotten Paul Simpson, who was England under 21, one England under 21 coaches, but the US pulled him in, even though I'm not sure that was totally clear to me as to what transpired there. He was announced as the under 21 coach, and all of a sudden he wasn't. But someone mentioned to me, I think it was 433 Presser, that he was, and he sent me the article from the Observer, which I read. He was announced by Fitzroy Simpson, by the new GenSec, the interim GenSec, that he was the new assistant, and all of a sudden he wasn't. So something is not right about what's been told to us, but we get told some information, not all information. Triple says, Kranky, is Jamaican culture more short-term or long-term oriented? I think it's a good topic to analyze, especially where sporting business is concerned. It's a good question. Is it more long-term or short-term? I think it depends. I think for football, it's no term. It's neither long or short. It's neither long or short term. They're clueless. There's no term for football. It's not long term. It's not short term. It's not medium term. They ain't got no term. For other sports, cricket is in the doldrums. So I don't think cricket has any term either. I think track and field is a little bit different, right? I think people are unhappy with J3A by how they operate. And since the individual sport, I think the athletes and the clubs that you have determine that. I think people like Fanham, them have done a really good job with athletes. So that may be more long term, but I think football has no term. They ain't long, short, medium, nothing. They will talk a good game and they will always focus on selling players, but they haven't thought big picture. Now, I will say this. They are trying a few things. They're trying to improve the coaching. I think Rudolph is running a coaching school or clinic or whatever it is to improve the coaching on the island. I do think the focus of the coaching has to be coaches at the more junior level, even more so than the senior level. Because think about it, guys. If you're not good enough when you're in the JPL, you ain't going to be good enough going forward. So how do I get you good enough so when you get to JPL, you can just progress overseas, right? How do I get you from your 7, 8, teach you the right way, you're 15, 16, you're being looked at by scouts, right? 15, 16, 17. Versus you go to the JPL, you weren't well coached, and they got to break bad habits out of you, and they're not that good themselves. It's not a good deal. So that needs to be revisited. So this coaching school that Rudolph is running and he's overseeing, because Rudolph is the one who's put that school together and running the school. I do think they have to focus the coaching not just on JPL. Yes, they should have requirements about what level you should be. I'm going to call it academically, because that's what I think coaching licenses are. They're not in the practical environment, even though some of the whole getting your license is being in the practical environment. I do think, though, they got to really think about where that coaching really needs to be well situated to enable the kids to learn really well. So when they get to a different level, they're doing well. Henry says, he needs serious assistant. Marin Gordon should be replaced. There are 7 players who should not turn up. September, Busy, Dixon, Cephas, Ming, William. You know, Emery, 6 of them are locally produced, right? So of the 6 of the players you mentioned, I think you mentioned Romari Williams, only Palmer is the one who's diaspora. That will not go on well with the JFF or anybody in Jamaica, frankly. But I'm not disagreeing with anything you say, because I don't have Cephas in. You know what I should do? I should put up my list. Oh, you know what? I have this picture I want to put up. Just show you guys for 2 seconds. I forgot to mention it. When I was in Jamaica, I mentioned this. I did meet Veronica Campbell. See this? You see this picture, people? See how smiling she is? That's how people in Jamaica should be. See how happy she looks? I like people who are friendly. Unlike the lady I met at I told you this story. I went to Juicy to buy patty, and because I don't eat meat, right? But I'm not eating fish again or seafood, because I'd stopped eating that for years. And I went to buy shrimp patty, and they had the day before, and I bought some. And I went back and I said, they have no patties. She didn't say they have no shrimp patties. She said they have no patties. I was like, what do you mean you have no patties? And she came at me hard, like, we don't have no patty. I'm like, oh yeah, I talked to. I can't me out. I must admit I transitioned. Transition. I couldn't believe there's something that customers I talk to every day. She's in customer service, people. The way she talked to me, I had to explain to her because meat is not good for you, know yourself. I had to explain to her that her mannerisms and the way she operated wasn't conducive to customer service. And my explanation wasn't the way I'm portraying it to you. Let's just say I was very upset the way she was coming at me, and I responded accordingly. So, which probably wasn't good, but I don't understand it. I know comedians. I said it before, people. Comedians make joke about customer service in Jamaica. It's not funny. It's actually not funny. It's just rude, obnoxious, and it happened to me more than once in Jamaica. And the second time, I just like, you know what? I ain't gonna spend money here. I just walked out. I'm like, I don't need your establishment. I don't need to engage with you. I'm not gonna be here. It's not happening. If I'm spending my money someplace, to be treated like a customer. I don't want you to come at me a certain way and talk to me a certain way. That's not happening. I'm spending my money. And customer service need to be customer service, not, it's bad. It's bad. And it's no different in the US for those who are transplanted here, actually. So, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Here is no different. It's the same thing. Customers, people talk to you like they don't want your money. That's the way I see it. They don't want your money. Exactly. RR. And I'm not the person to do that to. I'm just not. I'm not having it. I am not having it. I'm not having it. So that wasn't a pleasant conversation. When I was done, you know when you see deer in the headlight, that's how she looked, and the other person beside her. Because I can be obnoxious. If you're rude to me, I'm gonna just come back at you hard. So I just said what I just said and walk out. I didn't go back there. I wasn't gonna go back there either. I'm like done. But let's go back to the football. So this was my list, people. I see A.M. Henry. A.M. Henry is harsh, you know. She talk about me. You're harsh, A.M. Henry. She done knocked out 6 locally born players. Yeah, DC. I'm not into the rudeness. I'm not into the rudeness. I'm just not. Not when I'm spending my money, and not where there's no need to be rude. There's no need to be rude. Because all I asked you was, I said, it'll be surprised to me. I go into a patty store and they have no patties. Because she didn't say they have no shrimp patties. She said they have no patties. I'm like, okay, you don't have patties. Like, really? And I was very nice with my, you know, in my inquiry, and she came at me hard. Yeah. Not good. Yeah, all right. It needs to be better. I think we allow it, people. I think we allow it. Because most of the owners, I don't think, want their establishment to operate that way. I think we allow it. Because we're gonna buy this stuff anyway. I've had conversations with people about that. I've told people, like, I'm not gonna buy here for whatever reason, and you can't talk to me a certain way. Because I come and ask you for something. I don't want you to be rude to me. If you're gonna tell me you don't have something, you ain't gotta be rude to tell me that. You can just tell me nicely. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, we don't have something. You don't say, sir, I'm very sorry, but you know, we ran out. And move on. Exactly. Oh no, and exactly what she was saying. Exactly. And yours truly was deaf because I made her deaf with my mouth. Exactly. Drew Russ said, I went out yesterday, paid for my food, but he was very rude and he was dealing with me. I immediately asked for a refund and walked out. See, all of us have that experience. What Drew Russ did is what we should be doing going forward. Seriously. Because I hear comedians talk about it all the time, all over. They talk about it in England, in Jamaica, here. That means we're allowing it to happen. We're the ones paying the money. We're the customers. We're allowing it to happen. Seriously. We're allowing it to happen, and it won't stop until we decide it does not stop. If I ain't spending my money with you, you ain't generating no business. And here's another thing too. The people who are doing it, it's not their business. I don't give a damn. They think they shouldn't be there. Well, it's not my fault you're there. If you think you shouldn't be there, it's not my fault you're there. You don't have to be there. Go find another job. Find what you think worth your while or satisfies your ability, right? Don't get mad at people because you may not like your job. That's not our problem. That's your problem. Figure it out. But that's not how it works. No, she looked like she was, well, I don't know if she had a problem or not, but man, I just look at her like, what the hell? I must have came on the wrong day. Yeah, there isn't. But here was my squad, people. Here was my squad, right? I came up with. Let me take this down. And I'm missing some people. So somebody reminded me today, even though I probably wouldn't change it anyway, that I don't have Palmer. I was like, that was a mistake. That was not a mistake. I don't have Cephas. I was like, that was not a mistake. Those are deliberate left out. But then somebody remind me of Dujon Sterling. But Dujon Sterling to me was injured. And I don't think he's going to recover. Just like how Bernard was injured. Even though I have Bernard up there. But Sterling doesn't have his papers, but I think it's being pursued actually. So we'll see because people have been asking me about Dujon Sterling. I think I don't know who's pursuing his papers, to be honest. I was informed today that it's happening. But I don't know who's doing it. So I don't have that links. You know, Antiguans are like Jamaicans, right? Roman security. They're probably the closest thing to Jamaicans as related to how they speak. They speak a lot of patois too. I think Antiguans are the closest thing I see to Jamaicans in terms of how they speak. And I got Trinidad them sing and everything there. That's a bit different. Amron says, Drew Ross, this is not up to the level. I am sure Charlton will not be taking him to the championship. Championship to League One on loan. That's going to be interesting what happened to Dixon, actually. Because when you go up a level, you have to improve, right? You have to improve your team. That's why I see when a lot of kids who help a team get to the Premier League, they just stay in the championship or go to a lower league because teams are going out. Like Sunderland bought a player for £30 million today. Yeah, people are trying to improve because the level gets better. And levels matter. Somebody mentioned Whisper. Where is Whisper anyway? I haven't seen anything that talks about Whisper. What's the story with Whisper? I know he was injured, have knee problems. Is he playing any football? Have people seen him? Is he in preseason training? Oh, you know what? So I was listening. I'm gonna get myself in trouble, you know. Yeah, Dwight McNeil is a must-have, people. He'll be spoken to. Let's see what he has to say. But paternity leave. It's a long paternity leave. I was watching a YouTube channel the other day. I won't say who, and the person called my name twice. Right? I was watching the channel, and the person was talking about some stuff, and then I started listening intently. I was like, "What the hell is happening?" Person looked like they were having a meltdown. I thought it was a Bleak Civil type situation because the Bleak looked like he was having a meltdown, but I don't think it was a meltdown. He's probably just frustrated. The YouTuber was having a meltdown, and I was like, "I'm not going to leave it, Drew Ross, because my name was called Drew Ross. Don't go there. No, Drew Ross, that's not right. My name was called twice." But I hope the person is okay. That's what I'm going to say, Drew Ross. I'm not beating the person. I hope they're okay because I don't know what was happening. I joined the program late. I heard my name called twice. I was like, what did I do now? Because you know my name gets called sometimes. And I didn't know what was happening. But I hope the person is okay because we all go through our stuff in life. But no, I'm not going to beat the person, Drew Ross. That wasn't the purpose of me mentioning it. All I want to say is this to people is this, that is the reason why I mention it. People running YouTube channels, because we think that only players and JFF get cussed out. And even the players, because I heard somebody say that the players were passing around information about YouTubers who diss them and do this and do that. YouTubers get this big time, you know. So yes, YouTubers were deemed to be toxic, may be very critical. Not maybe. A lot of times they're very critical. Some YouTubers are not critical at all. Some YouTubers are well-liked, well-behaved, don't get no problem, just do them thing and go with them business. And they don't get called for anything bad or deemed to be toxic. But some, including yours truly, are deemed to be toxic in some ways. And we get beaten. I get some texts sometimes which are not digestible. So if you're in the public domain, though, you don't get beaten. I've always said this: if you're gonna beat me, then you got to prepare to take beating too, because I'm gonna come back hard at you. But sometimes I just ignore it, right? Sometimes I get beaten, I just ignore it. Sometimes some people text me some stuff, and me just like, you know what? It ain't worth a response. It ain't worth a response. I'm like, yeah, idiot this and yeah, idiot that, and you don't know about football and you're dunce, and you just like, okay, fine, that's your perspective. We differ. Lone Wolf says, Kranky live with the current disaster that your men team is facing. You can summarize and share with us what you heard that encourages diaspora players to keep signing up to come play. That's a great point, actually. So, here's what's happening, people. Sometimes it's not really the recruiting, you know. Sometimes it's the benefit to be derived by the player. So what do I mean by that? Let me take off this. Let me show my ball head, people. Let me get my ball head. The ball head thing. Take out the hat. Chat to our chat, Kranky. No, we're not doing that. Sometimes what happens is this. So we're in 2025, right? players may be at different points in their career. Some are very young. They don't want to be kept by anybody. Some are waiting for their home country. Some players have reached a certain stage. They're like, you know what? I can't wait for England anymore. Or some players, they may have thought about it, but they haven't pursued anything. They haven't, some players know about Jamaica, but they haven't been involved with Jamaica. It's maybe a grandparent, and even though Jamaican in their household, because every Jamaican household is dominated by Jamaicans, and they learn Jamaicans colloquialism and what they do. They may not have thought about it, right? But now World Cup is next year. World Cup is a big draw, people. It's like how World Cup draw sponsors. That's how World Cup draw players. I'm sure there's 16 or 17 people in the Moroccan team. Some are probably very patriotic and go back to Morocco a lot. Some probably don't know anything about Morocco. But World Cup draws players. It does, big time. So if you're a player and you're 26, 25, even if you're 19, 18, you may grow up in a Jamaican household. You know what? I'm going to want to play for Jamaica. I've been in Jamaica on vacation, or my family my dad and mom tell me, I got to play for Jamaica. I'll play for England. They don't like us anyway. Blah, blah, blah. Right? You may have that. Or in some cases, you may say, you know what? I'm mid-20s. I ain't going to play for England. World Cup is next year. I probably can get to this team. I can go to World Cup. I'm going to try to get to World Cup. So that's part of the draw. And then there's some players who have been pursued for years, like people like Devon. Like the pursuit of Hayden was 4 years in the making. Trust me, 4 years in the making. And part of my frustration is that the JFF hasn't proactively pursued players like they should, like how some countries do. Because they're so focused on selling players, they don't invest in recruiting players. That's why you see I had like 14 names for players under 20 who want to play for Jamaica. None of them got into the national, the under 20 team. And then the under 20 team went and failed miserably when they went to Latin America to play. But we had players in the list, like a Janera Johnson, for example, who we're not thinking about for the senior team, who wanted to come play and didn't get the opportunity. Yes, I left him out because I don't think he's going to be in this team. If he couldn't get in the game at Copa, in the Gold Cup, how are you going to get in this team? That's not possible. So it was a deliberate left out, Eagle. Because they don't look at the names on the list, Eagle. Who's he going to play over? Seriously. You ain't going to play over nobody on that list. That list is a very, if all these players come through, this is a very tough list to get into. We're going to have players who are going to be shocked are left out. Because if you're the coach, you have to then say to yourself now, given the response by everybody about what transpired, I have to just pick the best team. I can't play no games anymore. I can't be a politician anymore because he's a politician. If I want to maintain the job, because you can still get fired. If you make the World Cup, you can still get fired, Now, he's going to be in a tightrope. If he makes the World Cup, he probably won't get fired, right? Because the JFF would be able to live that down. If he doesn't, he's going to get fired. So if I'm him, I'm thinking legacy versus money, I'm going to pick the best team going forward. And you kind of see him hinted at that, actually. It reminds me after the U.S. game when he had a deer in the head, like, look, when he got 4 in the first half, when he realized that, these players are not at the level they need to be. I have to improve. I need to go get some better players or players with better skill set. Sanjay Brooks, you're probably right about that. I thought about taking him out also, and I may take him out eventually. I may revisit that, actually. I don't disagree with your perspective, Sanjay. I don't disagree with you. But I think Tyrese is in a better place than him. At least Tyrese has been given a chance. He's been given a chance, and he's been okay. He scored 1 good goal, but he's been okay. And he has more. I think the people in the center forward spot are a little more challenging, actually. I think Malik Mothersill can play the 10. That's why I have him in there. And I think we got to start going a little bit younger now than before, because next year is we have a whole year to go, and a lot happens in a year. So, but my list I think my list is probably going to be 85% of these players or 90%. We're going to have some changes as we go along. As I mentioned before, Dujon Sterling is another player that is being considered. I know McNeil is going to be approached or should be approached. we've been talking about Mentini for a while. All the players we've been talking about for a while, if the JFF had spent some time figuring out how to go pursue these players, we'd be in a much better place. But they don't really care, so they're too busy trying to sell players. So you're saying I should put... So who would you take out then? Okay, people. If you ask me to take somebody out or reconsider somebody, tell me who you would take out and who you would put in. Right? I don't see Palmer in the team at all. Given what transpired and what's been transpiring, I don't see Palmer in the team. So tell me who you would take out and who you would put in. Seriously. By the way, people, don't forget when you come in the chat to hit the like button. I shouldn't have to remind you, because you got reminded when you came in. So if you didn't want to hit it, you know what? I'm going to take that back. If you don't want to hit the like button, don't hit it. Because you came in, you got the poll, you ignored it. So it's your thing. I'm not going to ask you to hit the like button. Keep your like. No, I have no Palmer in my team. I don't need Palmer. The one wild card in my team is Gennaro Johnson, but I think we need a 6. And even though he's 18, I think he's a 6. He's well-known commodity in the Netherlands. I think we should keep him in the team. So, yeah. No, my team is independently picked. Nobody from the JFF pressured me. Nobody pressured me to put who's in the team. I picked my team independently. I thought about, I didn't think about, the only player I didn't think about was John Sterling, actually. Even Keenan Davis I thought about. I didn't put him in. And even though he's a starter in Syria, I didn't put him in. Right? He hasn't gotten his papers, but he may also pursue his papers at some point. He's Jamaican heritage. Anybody with Jamaican heritage should be considered, people. Seriously. Boza to me will not be in this team. I think the coach is not being transparent, He's such a politician, it's frustrating. The coach doesn't like Boza's game. Let's be honest. Let's see who would have been in the last Gold Cup squad. He doesn't like Boza's game. He can tell you about Boza not playing or playing, and it's nonsense. It's nonsense. First of all, he says you got to play a certain level. Then Ravel came in. Then he said you got to be playing, and then Antonio and Bobby Reed came in after they were injured and out for a while. That's nonsense. If he rates you, you play. Or if he's pressured, you play. If he's not, you don't play. That's how I see it. Yes, Canada is out. And we have 2 Latin American teams, Honduras and Guatemala, in the semifinals. Amazing, actually. Simply amazing. And Jamaica is not. We didn't even go to the first round, much less. And Canada is out. We didn't even come out the first round. That's so bad. Yes, man, Boza fallout. Well, must be a lot of falling out going on. I hear Iman Ravel fallout. So I don't know about the Boza thing, though. No, I don't agree with you, J. Ross. Anybody who get Boza was poor in Copa, and Boza has not been playing regular football. I don't see how Boza get back in this team. I don't think so. I don't think Boza get back in this team. Because I didn't spend more time on the goalkeepers. I don't think the goalkeepers didn't matter to me. There's another name that came up of somebody trying to get their citizenship. So they haven't brought Boyce Clarke into the team, right? They haven't brought Boyce Clarke into the team, even though he's been available. I know he had to go back once for his club. So I said, you know what? They're probably just going to care about the goalkeeper. It's Jamali and Andre. I know there's another kid from Stockport who's been considered. But Boyce Clarke has not been in this team forever, and they haven't considered him. So I decided to put him in. I don't spend too much time on the goalkeepers. We can interchange them, apart from Blake and Jamali. Wade who are going to be there. By the way, Jamali Wade was born in the U.S. So he's a diaspora goalkeeper. I keep saying local. He's diaspora, but operates as local. He's now in the USL. Davis may still, you can't get rid of all the locally born players. Then people may going to get people in Jamaica lose their minds. So if you can put them in a place they're comfortable, then it's okay. Because people say Lowe shouldn't be there. I'm like, Lowe is going to be there. Right? Blake's going to be there. Those two, Lowe and Blake, are going to be there, no matter who comes in, I think. Apart from that, it's going to be interesting how it works out. Yeah, no, it's going to be Blake's going to be the keeper. Unless Blake is injured, the goalkeeper is going to be who it is. And Blake has proven that he should be playing, right? He's poor with his feet, but he's great shot stopper. So what are you talking about, J. Russ? Well, he was born overseas, but I grew up in Jamaica. I grew up in Jamaica too. People call me so I'm not Dre Jamaican, so I'm gonna treat him the same way. Mr. Man said, Kranky, pick a boring squad. Where's the vibes? Are you gonna sneak with Bailey to go club now? Well, I want to be boring because the Vibe Squad is not working. Mr. Man, the Vibe Squad didn't win a game in Gold Cup. Not one game. Okay, that Vibe Squad thing not work. So if Vibe Squad can't win no games, you know what's funny? So Rudolph came out, but we really didn't have discussion about the performance of the team. If you think about, go back to that interview. We really didn't, the discussion wasn't about the go to the performance of the team, like game by game. And he talked big picture about what transpired and players in camp not being happy and the midfield not being selected the right way. But those were activities and things that happens not on the field of play. Those conversation has been had by the JFF, even though a lot of times you want to have big picture discussion. So it's kind of interesting, actually. Our coaches changes during the game. So some of the players actually got off really easy in this tournament, frankly. The players didn't really get beaten in this tournament. Yeah, players like Cephas get his traditional criticism about his decision making. But I hear some players are complaining about how fans treat them. Apart from individual game where we call out players and what they were doing, the players haven't gotten a lot of beaten. And the coach has gotten destroyed, but the players to me haven't gotten beaten. So they shouldn't be complaining about anything. Any of them, frankly. Maybe Cephas a little bit because he was slaughtered. But I don't think the players have done anything to be complaining about how they're criticized. Yeah, there are some people who are in the wilderness. J. Russ, Flemo, Stewart, DJ, Kaheem Dixon. Not Kaheem Dixon, Kaheem, whatever his name is. So there's some players who are in the wilderness. I don't think they come out of the wilderness. The team has moved on. To me, for some players, the team has moved on. Burke. I met Burke, by the way. Of all the players I've met for playing for Jamaica, Burke is the nicest one. Of all the players I've met, and I've met a ton of players, right? I met the team in Dallas. To me, Burke was the nicest of all the players I've met. Bernard was great too, but to me, Burke was the nicest. Nice I don't know. And Burke shouldn't have played against the U.S., in my view, actually. Because he just came off a really bad injury and he didn't work out well. So, but he was just a really nice person. Him and my Prezi, I beat Prezi sometime, but Prezi's a charismatic, engaging personality. So even though people curse me about my perspective on him, and somebody went and met him the other day. Dr. Dan was talking about it. He met him. He had the same view I do. There's some people in life you around, you just like, you know what? I don't mind being around this person. Seriously. They're just so nice people. Kranky, like Kelly getting his favors from his adopted parents. Like Kelly was not adopted. He was in foster home. There's a difference, right? He's in foster home. So he wasn't adopted, is my understanding. And it's my understanding that there's some reconciliation that took place. So that's why he's on my list as a possibility. We just got to go talk to some of these players. Not everyone here is pursuing their papers, by the way. There are few, I think, everyone but one has been talked to, and that one should be talked to. And there's a few who more than a few, maybe 3 who we need to push. But then again, if you listen to the commentator on the women's game today, there was some inference about naturalization. And I know there's a few of the women's team who need to get naturalized, and the Pika situation is a challenge. So players may want to come play, but whether their papers are right or whether Pika move the process, it's interesting. It doesn't really always work well when it comes to that. The quickest way you can get papers is if all your papers are straight. Say if your mom or dad is a Jamaican and the name is the same, to me that's the quickest way. I got mine in 4 months. And I didn't go to Jamaica. The quickest way to get papers actually is put your papers in and go to Jamaica, and it gets done real quickly. If you try to do it from overseas, at least from the UK, it's challenging. I did mine from New York. I put it in February. I got it in June, for example. That time, so a 4-month time period. Both citizenship and passport came at the same time. So it wasn't draconian. But I had my mom who was born in Jamaica, so that made it easy. For some people, it's their grandparents. And then the name is different because the dad name, you may be doing it on your mom's side. The names don't align. So how do you get that line? People may get remarried. The name may be spelled wrong. They may use an assumed name. A lot of the paperwork people, so the people go to England in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. Problems. A lot of problems. Name spelled wrong, assumed name, all sort of problems. That's why it takes so long sometimes. Yeah. Because you know why? Because they put it through the London High Commission. It goes into a hole and disappears. I have 2 parents now I'm dealing with in England who have contacted me. And I need to do their stories, but I'm waiting for them to get back to me. Who put in for their kids to pay for the under 18 2 years ago when they were 16. Those kids are now 18 plus. Those kids are not under 17, I'm sorry. So they put in when they were 15, 16, people under 17. They're now 18. And one of the parents told me that they put it in 2022. So it's 3 years now. They heard back last year from the organization. They wanted more money. They put this thing in. They haven't heard anything. It goes in a hole and disappears. That's why you gotta figure out a way to. Some did it in Birmingham though, where they had an office. They closed the office. Pika is just not good when it comes to this. Pika is not just good. It's just not good. Pika is just not good. And I was listening to a video today where someone was complaining how rude Pika was. They went to Pika and Pika was rude. You know what? I'm gonna play the video. I'm gonna play it. I don't have the video. I'm gonna play it. Listen to this one. You guys may have seen this. I'm just gonna. You know what? We're talking about Pika. I'm just gonna play it because I have it on my phone. So I'm gonna play it. Let me see if I can hear this. Hold up.
This one is for the people.
Let me redo this.
People with their Jamaica passport office. Don't at Jamaica. The people that don't have Jamaica passport office don't have Jamaica at time for the fix up on the polygrounds. We the people is sick and tired of the behavior. We the people pay uno and uno appear we. You understand? Me say, when me witness a passport office on a Constant Spring the other day, I am disturbed, I am annoyed. And you know the funny thing is, I knew it was going to happen. I knew this was the kind of behavior that they would have carry on with. I made sure that when I went to the passport office, I wore this shirt. It says, Jesus loves you. On the front of it, it also have the Jesus loves you. You understand? Because every time I feel like one of them girl, one of them man, they don't so, and that me have to call them. You understand? One draw me out, I had to look down at my shirt and remind myself that I am a child of God. I'm not gonna make nobody draw me out. Because I come from Augustone and Augustone dirty girl in me can't come out. But you still time ready for decent. Listen, good afternoon, good evening. How are you? How may I gladly assist you? Because we can go from one extreme to the other. But they say the people in a passport office only need to know how to talk to people. And we appear uno and uno appear we. You understand? Want to talk to people like that? Pick up that that wrong. You got what could go so? No, never go to customer service. No, never go to customer service. Well, let me not say no now, because let me say about 90%. Because Mr. Edwards, I would like to thank you for your apology, for apologizing on behalf of your little ugly co-worker. Oh, yes, the ugly girl who have the red up on top of her head right, so like me could have dropped 2 egg in it. We shot like shit. Look at your salad. You don't look good. You don't even represent anything there on the back. I start with the paper. So why you doing at the front? You have the audacity to talk down to my mother. My mother was deaf and dumb and can't hear nothing. Who talks down to the deaf? So, who talks down to the deaf? Huh? Imagine if I said something 1,000,001 times. I am her power of attorney. Does that have no weight in Jamaica? Does it have no weight in Jamaica? I said I am her power of attorney, which means that I am in charge of writing or signing anything because she does not have the literacy to do it. And then you go ball out in front of the window. Oh, so she can't read, all right? Listen, man. Someone need to lift up. Someone need to lift up out of the passport office and also government work because they don't have no behavior. No only talk to people because they say any old you want, like an eye color man will come in there, we look at him, have a little bit of money in his pocket, on a smiley and then laughing. No over talk to Jamaicans. Have some respect. But they're like, go away. Good morning, Jamaica. Good evening, good night, wherever you are. This one is for the people with their Jamaica passport.
All right, so I thought that video was appropriate in 2 instances, one about the customer service and 2 about PICA. Because the people who spoke in England, they are totally confused about the process. Their kids are doing well in England. They're young kids. They want to play for Jamaica. They put in for their passport. They fill out all the forms. The forms went in and the forms went disappear. Then last year they got some interaction with them because they're trying to figure out what went wrong. They told me to spend some more money to pay for whatever they're paying for, and they still haven't heard anything back. And they asked me to help, and I'm trying to. I wanted to interview one of them on my channel, but he's supposed to send me the information so I can speak about it more intelligently about what transpired, what the kids' names are, because they're confused. Yeah, confused. Orden says, Kranky, please, for God's sake, I want you to put up a realistic bunch of players who can represent the country. I'm tired of all these names and not showing up. Orden, I understand the frustration, but I'm telling you, a lot of these names are possible. I wouldn't put them up. Yeah, Tripoli. Exactly, Tripoli. Exactly. This lady wasn't having it either, and I wasn't having it either. But she if you saw the video, she had a shirt which says, Jesus loves you on both sides of the shirt. But she had a real shirt, actually, that said, Jesus loves you. I guess she was going out there believing that if you're a child of God and it's really reflected, it would hold some weight in how you're dealt with. But I don't think so. I don't think those people are thinking about God or anything when they're being rude in a normal rude self. But yeah, now somebody said that to me. I thought it was interesting that we're talking about how the customer service is or not is, and also how PICA operates. PICA is a challenge for the women's team, the men's team, and maybe part of the problem is that we go back to the JFF again, people. It's JFF. I know someone who watch my program. Some of you guys watch my program. I know some of you do. You have to do better. You just have to do better. I mean, part of the problem is you. It's not PICA. You don't have an MOU with PICA. You're part of the problem. Seriously. You don't want one, but you need to get one. Because at some point, you have to realize that the diaspora is not going anywhere, whether you like it or not. Now, you can change that direction of travel. You may not want it. You may not want the players to come, but they're going to come. Because you don't own Jamaica. Jamaica is part of their environment. Jamaica is part of their history. Jamaica is part of who they are. You can't control that. And if they're good enough, they got to get into the team. Now, you may keep out some with your nonsense, but there are others who play at a certain level you can't get rid of. So my suggestion to you is that you create an environment where you're much more receptive to players and you bring them in. But the players that are coming in now are of different level, right? There ain't no League 2 and no League 1. The ones that are coming are being pursued are at a certain level. So I've said this before. The fans will not have it where these players are not being pursued, are not in the team if they come in. So, for example, let's say a Tyreek Mitchell come in. That's a no-brainer. You're going to tell him, say he can't play because, Tyreek Mitchell may not be the right example because you don't have no left back to replace Tyreek. Let's say a Max Aaron's come in. They'll tell me, say Ming is going to take Max Aaron's game. That ain't going to happen. Let's say a Lloyd Kelly comes in. You don't tell me that Richard King going to take Lloyd Kelly game. That people ain't going to have that. You can't explain that. You can explain some of the things where if it's a League One player like a Tyrese versus, even though that's a really bad example too, because in God's name, Dixon play about Tyrese doesn't make any sense to me. But Tyrese played Division One, played League One. He's not going to championship. You can't explain leaving out a Lloyd Kelly who was just traded to, or who got sold to Juventus for £15 million for Richard King, who's going to St. Mirren in the bush in Scotland. Right? That's not, you can't explain that. So if it does occur, we get these players in, then it'd be very hard to justify decisions that doesn't align to the player's capability and who get picked in the team. And then we'll say it has to be the manager or the coach, because that would make sense if those players get picked. Damien says, I hear Mitchell is waiting for it in England. Yeah, some players have been waiting, You might remind me of people. Sometimes, well, I shouldn't use these or not. These are cataract analogies. I shouldn't use them. Let me think about another good example, and we come back with one. Suppose you're waiting for, this happened to me actually. When I was leaving college, I interviewed with about 6 firms, right? 6 accounting firms. And 4 of them were like the biggest firms in the world. I interviewed Pricewaterhouse. I'm dating myself now. Deloitte. I think Arthur Anderson. And somebody else. And then I had an African-American firm I interviewed, Mitchell Titus. I wanted Price for some reason. Don't ask me why. Well, they were paying the highest of all of them. And then Deloitte came. And then I was trying to wait for Deloitte a little bit. No, sorry, waiting for Price. But then Deloitte was showing so much interest. Send me Christmas card, invite me into the office, treat me like I'm special. And I was like, forget Price. I'm done with that. KPMG. No, I didn't interview KPMG. It was another firm. There were 8 of them then. And then I was like, you know what? Shoot, I'm going to go with the person who really wants me. I ain't going to wait for Price because they ain't coming back to me. Right? It's the same concept. You're waiting for England. That's my analogy I'm using. And England ain't coming. At some point, you're going to say, you know what? Forget England. That's why Jet Spence should think about Jamaica. I'd love to have Jet Spence. I think Jet Spence is a brilliant footballer. Not just a good footballer, a brilliant footballer. Even though he didn't make the team the last part of the season when Udogi and what's his name, he's a better defender than a right back. But he can play. He transitioned to right wing. He played right back. He can play left back. He's a very confident footballer. I know he did a podcast and said he's going to play for England, going to wait for England, but so did Hayden. World Cup is next year, people. World Cup is a draw. World Cup draw, people. So some of these players who are waiting for England, they're going to change their mind. Trust me. Trust me on that, people. Trust me. Well, that's true too, actually. That's why the coach said about Tyrese, right? You can make that argument with Tyrese, Richard, because he's playing League One. And there's some people in the JFF who don't rate League One players. I know that. I've had a conversation with them. They have told me if it's Premier League, there's no conversation. Let me just say that right now. Because in their view, you're tried and proven at the highest level. So I've had conversations with people in the JFF told me if it's Premier League, there's no conversation. Even if it's Championship, there's less conversation. So Premier League, there's no conversation. Championship, there's less conversation. League One, there's a lot of conversation. And League Two, it goes the other way. That's why I'm more confident that there'll be less pressure on the coach about who to play if we're getting many Premier League players. So Eminem says, JFF understand the magnitude of the situation they are in. Speed is now talking about the boatload of Dutch players coming to play for Curacao. Do you think Bermuda are not looking for better players? Yeah, I think the JFF has a conundrum because they've done a poor job of recruiting players, and now they realize it's an emergency situation. They may have thought, you know what, we can use who we have and get to where we need to get to, and then realize based on the Gold Cup performance that, and the coach has said this from day one, we need better players than what we have right now. Nah, some players coming anyway. Because some players going to come with a view that I can improve the team based on my capability. And I'm sure the players know who is coming and who's not coming. I'm sure those conversations being had. So it's less so about, oh, you know what? I'm not going to come because... Plus, people, think about it this way. Some players don't have anywhere to go, you know. Right? Some players don't have anywhere to go. What am I doing? Some players don't have anywhere to go. When are they going to go? England not calling them. And if they're from England, they don't have anywhere to go. So what are they going to do? Not come? They're not. Some players don't have a choice. They may not. They may want to wait for England, but if England ain't happening, work. And if I'll give you an example, people. If you're 26, 27 years old, just think about this. And England doesn't call you. World Cup is coming next year. So say you're 27, 28 next year. Your window has closed fast, you know. Because if you don't go to this World Cup, then World Cup is 4 years ago, you're 32. You ain't going to England World Cup at 32. Ain't happening if you've never been before. So you got to think about, if you're a very smart person, this is my only window to play in the World Cup. And everybody I know want to play in the World Cup. If you don't want to play in the World Cup, you ain't got no ambition as a footballer, as far as I'm concerned. Yes. My one answer to know yourself is yes. I think the JPL is below League One. I don't think I think the JPL is probably between League Two and National League. Yeah, I don't know what the headlines say, but I think he's coming September. Even though I don't think I'm going to go to Jamaica for the game, actually. I don't like flying that much. But it's something I got to consider because I thought he was going to come the last time. And he actually should have come the last time, to be honest. He should have come the last time. We'll see what was decided. But the coach told us why he didn't come. The coach told us that the coach told you the entire story. If you listen with your brain, as I've always been saying in your ears, the coach told us the story. Some people just missed it. I think it's a little bit about National League. Well, maybe a little bit about National League, but it's not above League Two. Not above League Two. I don't think so. What are you drinking, Mitchell? What are you drinking, Mitchell? What are you drinking? That ain't never happened. Never. The coach can't even bench Greenwood, much less the JFF. You want running with that stadium? You're mad. If me go Jamaica and the coach bench Greenwood, me I boo him for the entire game. Ain't happening. Not happening. I'm sure a lot of people would boo him too. He'd be drunk. The coach is not stupid, no people. He may make some mistakes, but he's not stupid. That would never happen. That's not even a consideration. I mean, there's zero chance the coach would bench Greenwood. Zero. Yeah, but Antonio came to the team late, right? He came to the team late. When Antonio tried to come to the team way back when, he wasn't as good as he became. And he admitted that. So, yeah. But, yeah. Who won the women's hurdles? Did the little short lady who came third in did she win? I know it's trials now. Some people are watching trials. So I'm not staying much longer, actually. Because I do want to watch trials. And I'm missing some race. The coach benched our best midfielder. Who are you talking about? Ravel? Arabians, who are you talking about? Ravel? Let me know if Tapper won the women's hurdles. She was looking good. She did? Okay. You talk about Ravel. Really? Well, there is Megan Tapper. She looked good yesterday. Tapper looked really good yesterday. Well, to be honest, not everybody was convinced about Ravel being in the team, right? Not everybody's convinced that of Ravel being in the team, to be honest. Let me take this down. Some people don't believe Ravel is playing at a high enough level to be in the team. Some people believe. I was told by somebody that Ravel is. They said something about Ravel, and I'm still scratching my head about what they were saying. Somebody was talking to me about Ravel, and I won't mention who. And they were giving me the reason why, Ravel probably should be in the team. And I walked away saying that this person don't know what they're talking about. I won't say who the person was, but I was confused what the person said. Because they were saying Ravel, didn't have certain physical attributes anymore and blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, Ravel's on the beach is better than these players. He's on the beach drinking pina colada and sipping white rum. It's like Ronaldinho, he's better than these players. I don't know what you're talking about. I've watched these players play. I watch Ravel play. There's no comparison. So you have to be very careful with that because there's some people, we have difference of opinion about players and their ability. Some people say Bozo should be in the team. I don't think the team that we're building, Bozo going to be able to make this team. And Bozo's done well for Jamaica. He's probably what? Isn't he Jamaica? In terms of goal to game ratio, I think he's about 1-in-4 nowadays. Used to be 1-in-3, which is a very good ratio, 1-in-3 for a striker. You prefer 1-in-2. But at international level, it's not the worst record. But I don't see how Ravel doesn't get into this team. I just don't. I just don't see her getting this team. I don't care what level he's playing at. Given the people I see in this team. I'm gonna give you an example. Like Russell get a lot of plaudits nowadays, and deservedly so. He's improved to me, and he's playing, he's scoring goals. But watch Russell defensively, and watch Palmer defensively. That's part of the problem that we have, Now, I'm not gonna say Ravel is the best player, but at least when Ravel gets the ball, you can't take it off him. Right? People don't seem to realize that. Ravel can keep the ball. Some of our midfielders can't keep the ball. Reggae Boyz, oh Lord, he turns up. Oh Lord. I don't even want to read what he said. I'll read anyway. I bet the coach wasn't telling the squad that none of them had a place. McClaren's a real politician like the JFL. Yeah, he's a politician. He's a politician. Good evening. Who am I speaking to?
Good evening. Kranky.
Yes.
I was just
Who am I speaking to? Who am I speaking? I tell the audience who you are.
Patrick. Each time I call you, you seem like you don't even know this number and the voice. Anyway, Patrick this. Anyway, Kranky. I was listening to the clip that you play about with the lady. She's absolutely right. I have had the same experience with down there too, down at the passport office. And I couldn't believe it. I was about to flip. I tell you, they need to do something about it. Customer service there, it's really poor. It's really, really, really poor.
So that's where traditional media comes in, right?
It's really poor. Because I went down there, my daughter, her passport was going to expire. So we flew down to Jamaica to renew her passport. And that's how we have the problem down there with this lady.
So why didn't you do it from the US? Why didn't you do it from the US?
Because it's easier to fly down to Jamaica and get it done like the next day. Yep. So we did the next day service. Okay. So instead of that, we just flew down and stuff like that. And I could have just don't bother look about her passport and just leave it as it is because she could have used her US passport. But I like, no, let me just get this done for her.
Right.
And everything. So she was out of college, so we just flew down to get it started up. But I tell you, with the customer service, it was a mess. Even when I was coming back home, my mom was like, you need to calm down. You need to calm down. But it's difficult to calm down with these. Yeah, because the customer service that I get here, because I live in America, the customer service that I get here is different when I go to Jamaica.
Well, it depends on if you deal with Jamaicans here, though.
Yeah.
So some Jamaicans here are no different.
They know
they ain't no different. But they may be worse, frankly, some of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get good customer service like when I'm dealing with my bank and stuff like that, with the tellers and stuff that I thought that I guess because of money transaction and all that, why it's a different. But I tell her, seriously, I think you probably need to gather some information pertaining to RGD and do a show on that. I think, yeah, definitely. And that's the reason I was calling, because they really need to shake up. Definitely.
Yeah, I am. I do need to actually. I want to talk to people in England.
Think about it. Yeah,
no, I probably will do something because it's you get so much feedback about them and how they operate that it begs the question as to how do we bring it to light. I don't have the viewership like the traditional media do in Jamaica.
Like that's what Maverick should have.
Maverick only do a suit Maverick get some views to get some money. That's how Maverick does.
These are the things you used to talk about. You know, back in the days they used to have on our program, they used to talk about either RGD or the same passport or stuff like that. They used to help out people and stuff like that. But not anymore. There are a few radio shows in Jamaica try to do stuff like that. You know?
Okay.
Yeah. All right then, Kranky.
Yeah, man. Bless. Thanks for the call. Right, man. Bless.
Yeah, man. Cool.
Yeah. Thanks, Patrick. Patrick, me save your number. Come on, when you call me again, I'm gonna ask you who this. I'm a little bit seasoned, so you should be surprised that I don't know. So let me add your number. Patrick didn't know I show up. But no, see the passport office thing. And if you're in the UK, people, you have to go to. If you live in Birmingham, because I heard they had an office in Birmingham, gotta go down to London and send the papers down to London, and then you gotta go to Jamaica. That thing gets lost in the mail. People tell you that, as someone as A.M. Henry says. Took Pinnock a year. It took Gray 2 years to get his. Like, it's ridiculous, the process. It's ridiculous, the process. Yeah, I don't. Maybe they think they don't get paid enough money, and so they shouldn't care. But they're rude, and then they'll tell you that you're rude. They'll tell you that it's the customers who are rude. And I'm not saying some customers are not rude. But you also sometimes get what you give out, right? That is true, Brian. Brian making a good point. But the lady said that, didn't she? Didn't the lady say that, Brian? The lady in the video says if the person of a certain profile, they get treated differently. Right? If there's a certain profile, they get treated differently. So what she's basically saying is that the people who look like you are treated different than the people who don't look like you. That's what she's saying. Anyway, I'm not going to stay long, people. I'm going to drop off soon. It's that time of the evening. It's Sunday evening. I'm going to hang out with my nephew. But I'll come back. As I said, I'm going to do some more shows on my Balanced View channel. I've been neglecting it. We're now out of Reggae Boyz football period. We'll do occasional shows, but it won't be the same level and frequency. I'm going to do some stuff. I just watched some videos today of Joy Reid and others. I know some of you, I know the one here, not but another thing there. You just want to talk football. Can't talk football 24/7. We're going to come back. If I get more information about people getting their papers, and I'm told I can talk about it, because I get frustrated with it, with the whole concept of you can't talk about this, you can't talk about that. So I follow the rules that have been laid down for me. But if I do, then I come back and do more show. But going forward, I'm going to do more social stuff. And by the way, people, I can say this now because I've been working on it. I'm a come up with a web. I want you guys to go to my website when I publish it mid-July and register for my website. All right, my website is going to be just a regular website where I bring you news, maybe some editorials and sports and stuff. So I want you guys to support it. So when I bring it out middle of this month, I want you guys to support the website. And you guys can give me good feedback on it so I can know where it needs to be improved, what needs to be changed, what needs to be revisited, and we'll do that too. Me and my team have a team working on it. So I'm hope to have it published or for the general public come in the next, in the next 2 weeks, actually, 2.5 weeks. Yes. Oh, I know. And I am seasoned, and it's not bedtime yet. No, it's not bedtime yet, but I'm seasoned. So yeah. What am I saying? No, Brian, I am Brian. So football don't know, Brian. Football, whole I know. Now I'm gonna drop some videos first, and then I'm gonna do some live of that. But what's interesting, Brian, is this: that I was in Jamaica and I took some videos. Hey, people, you're right. Oh no, and I'm seasoned. So I interviewed somebody from BYD in Jamaica, right? They're gonna. I haven't even told them yet. I haven't even got back to them yet. I'm interviewing the person, right? And I had some mic I put on my iPhone. It's my iPhone. And I interviewed them for the first 6 minutes. There's 2 times it happened to me. This is bad, but I'm a beat myself in general public. I interviewed when the person was there. I won't say what his name was. He's walking through me one of the cars, and it was an electric car. I interviewed him for 10 minutes, and I pressed the button. Something's wrong with my phone, and it didn't record for the 10 minutes, right? But I didn't catch him afterwards to go to the car, record him for another 10 minutes. And he wasn't happy that I didn't record him. Then I interviewed the person who runs the BYD in Jamaica. And he was gracious enough to take time for me to interview him. I haven't even talked to him yet about this. I haven't gone back to him. I interviewed him for the first 6 minutes, and a customer came in, and I said, you know what, go ahead and deal with the customer. I'll interview her afterwards. I'm not sure what happened to the devices I have, because he came back, and I interviewed him for 30 minutes afterwards. And let's just say, I went to play the video, it's silent. He's talking, can't hear nothing. I don't know if I didn't turn on the mic or something, what happened, but so I got to be creative with this video I'm going to put together. But I was so upset because he gave me 30 minutes. He gave me 36 minutes, actually. The first 6 get recorded. And it was good information, too, because I was fascinated by how Jamaica is doing with electric vehicles. And he walked me through all of this. And it was really interesting. I was excited. I'm going to drop this video. It's good video. A new season is not good. So anyway, that didn't work out well. But anyway, I'm going to say good night to you. Have a wonderful, with that story, end that story. Have a good night. I wasn't even going to play my Kranky out video. I'm so upset with myself still when I think about that whole thing. Have a good night. I'll probably be back Tuesday instead of Monday. But it's going to be more social, not... I'm not going to do a football video. I'm going to do a social video. So we'll talk, all right? Yeah, I'll put that up. I'll put up jargons. Yeah, you want me to be beat up by the people who don't like Muslims. Anyway, people, have a good evening, have a good night, and I will be back on Tuesday to talk more social, not sports. Peace out. Good night.